We're turning our attention now to the Republic of South Africa, where in a new spin of controversies, President Cyril Ramaphosa has suspended the country's anti-corruption chief advocate, Busisiwe Mkhwebane, on Thursday with immediate effect. Mkhwebane had been accused of being politically biased in her investigations. This suspension comes barely one day after she announced she would investigate claims of money laundering against the president.
Now, the country's former spy boss, Arthur Fraser, filed a criminal complaint against the president earlier this week, accusing him of money laundering and not reporting a robbery at his farm where $4 million was allegedly stolen. Ramaphosa denied the allegations, revealing that the money was the proceeds from the sale of the game at his farm and not from taxpayers. The leftist opposition, Economic Freedom Fighters Party, wants Ramaphosa to step aside over the affair until investigation. Meanwhile, President Cyril Ramaphosa was escorted out of Parliament on Friday morning as more Economic Freedom Fighters, EFF MPs, were physically removed from the presidency budget debate. And now joining us live on the conversation is Vusi Gumbi, Research Assistant, University of Johannesburg, South Africa. It's good to have you join us on the conversation.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you. So right now, let's start with this. Mkhwebane had been accused of being politically biased in our investigations. Can you tell us more about Busisiwe Mkhwebane?
From when she succeeded, the former public protector to Madonsela, there was a cloud, already hanging over her. Some called her an extension of former President Jacob Zuma, who would, make sure that some of the investigations that the former public protector Thuli Madonsela had conducted would be swept under the rug. From when, she became the public protector, even the EFF itself, at some point they doubted her. They called her a spook, a Jacob Zuma spook, to quote Julius Malema. And then, over the years, because of the factional battles within the ANC, she was then seen as an RET force, which is linked to former President Jacob Zuma or linked to those who are against Ramaphosa within the ANC. From some of the cases that he has investigated. The biggest case, I think, ever since she went to office was the CR17 backing statements, where she sought to unseal those statements to actually bring the public into confidence as to who are the people who funded President Cyril Ramaphosa's successful bid to become ANC president in December 2017. So, by some of these investigations, she was seen as a pro-Zuma person. She became very unpopular amongst, key figures within South Africa who are aligned to President Ramaphosa. So, but I think it's a giveaway that ever since she assumed office, she has always been seen as a controversial figure, one way or the other.
Thank you, VC. Now let's talk about the timing of the suspension of Mkhwebane. Do you think the suspension is a bit ill-timed following the scandal we've seen with Farmgate? Do you think it has anything to do with it? And why is the suspension coming now? Because you did mention antecedents of her investigations and her work not really being in tandem with the current government.
Well, certainly the timing is the one that caused tongues wagging across the South African political landscape, because it's two things, right? Day before, in fact, a day before, which is today, the Western Cape High Court was meant to give a judgment on whether or not the National Assembly would proceed with impeachment processes against the public protector. So Ramaphosa suspending the public protector a day before the judgment, it meant that he was preempting the courts. That's one way of looking at it. The other way of looking at it, it means that Ramaphosa maybe already knew that Mkhwebane's application to interdict the National Assembly from proceeding with impeachment, he was already familiar with that court judgment. So it doesn't do good to the image of the judiciary that within some certain corners in the South African political landscape has been seen as more lenient towards President Ramaphosa, captured to be more explicit. So obviously 2 days ago, the public protector received a complaint from ATM, a party represented in the National Assembly, and confirmed that she will be investigating the Phala Phala firm. And then a day before, the court is expected to hand down judgment on an application that was brought forward by Busisiwe Mkhwebane to interdict the National Assembly to stop these impeachment proceedings, and then Ramaphosa suspends him. So obviously it's either it's a conflict of interest because the president didn't want the public protector to investigate the Phala Phala farm, or it is because he was preempting the Western Cape High Court in that he already knew what kind of judgment would.
Vusi, can you hear us? All right, this is a situation in South Africa now. We went from the Phala Phala farm, we went to the Gupta brothers being arrested.
And now the
suspension of the chief public prosecutor. I mean, these are serious situations going on in South Africa. I don't know if we have Vusi still with us. Vusi, can you hear us? All right, because I wonder what the president is going to do. And I also wonder that what moral grounds does the president have? Because he talked about the president actually preempting the judiciary by actually suspending her when we're actually waiting for a verdict to reach to know whether she will actually be impeached by the presidency.
I guess it's just typical self-preservation of politicians. Anything you have legally within your means to prevent your downfall. Let's not forget that the opposition too is they're playing games and looking at the timing of the reports that came out about the Phala Phala farms theft. It's all political. So he's playing their games too.
I mean, it's really political, and I think the opposition, the EFF, Julius Malema, has actually taken this opportunity to go against Ramaphosa. I mean, see what happened at the parliamentary when the EFF MPs actually booed the president.
It's the work of the opposition. That's why they're there. Their methods might be questionable and the way they carry out themselves, decorum and all of that, because they're not the only opposition group in South Africa. But I mean, if you're clean and you don't have any records, then you won't be a target for those sorts of things. The EFF are right within their they have all within their rights to question the president's integrity and, ask that investigations be carried out.
Okay, investigations to be carried out. Now, we still have a Vusi with us, and we're doing situations where the chief public prosecutor in South Africa has actually been suspended by the president. And now, Vusi, the president said Mkhwebane would remain suspended until the Section 194 process kicks off on 11 July is completed, and you expatiated on that particular issue. But also the president mentioned a particular statement because we know we have theft allegations from the Phala Phala farm coming against the president. Now, he said that he was a victim of dirty tricks in a damaging burglary scandal. What did the president mean by the term dirty tricks?
Hello, Vusi.
Obviously, he means the fact that Arthur Fraser, who was the head of the state security agency at the time, kept this information for 2 years. So whether or not you support President Ramaphosa, none of them are saints. President Ramaphosa certainly has a lot of answering to do, but it doesn't mean that Arthur Fraser is the saint that people would like him to believe. So people are obviously saying that people get this information until the 11th hour, considering that this is the year of the elective conference of the ANC. 5 years ago, in 2017, the ANC adopted a step-aside resolution which has affected a number of senior members.
Even the ANC Secretary General.
If you are court of step aside until you are cleared. So that's what he means, to say that that's my understanding, that his detractors within the ANC, or those who are trying to make sure that he doesn't get a second term within the ANC in December, waited until 2022, 2 years, to use this information. To some extent, he is correct, but at the same time, there are questions of, regulations. I mean, it's highly unlikely that he stole the money for sure. It might be correct that.
Vusi, can you hear us? Okay, so we're having more of internal wranglings even in the party. That's the Action National Congress of South Africa, of which the president, Cyril Ramaphosa, is actually in. And I wonder if this will be a situation of Jacob Zuma, because earlier on in our conversation, we talked about situations where most of the presidents of the ANC have not been able to complete their tenure in government, starting with, if you look at Jacob Zuma, we still have Vusi with us right now. And we saw the situation of what happened in the parliament when the president was trying to give its budget vote, and the EFF MPs actually booed at the president. And we also saw that the EFF MPs were evicted from the chambers. Now, what's your take on this? Do you think it was actually too extra on the part of the presidency?
Well, it's the same story, different cast. We saw the very same thing with the former president Jacob Zuma. When the EFF got to Parliament for 2014. So it's not really foreign, especially since 2014, to see such things within the National Assembly. So I do believe that, considering that it's an elective year of the ANC and South Africans, and other political parties are starting to position themselves, the EFF will continue to do this. They want to come across as holding the president accountable, or the ruling party accountable, and they want to maintain that consistency to say we did it with former President Jacob Zuma, and we are going to do it with current President Cyril Ramaphosa. So I don't think it's foreign, and I think it will. And whether or not President Ramaphosa gets a second term, it certainly will continue.
Okay, Vusi, now social media posts and chat groups have been sharing threats of national shutdown of South Africa on Friday, purportedly orchestrated by opposition economic freedom fighters political party. Is there any updates on this?
I mean, the EFF, I can say it's linked to it. I didn't see any formal communication from within party structures saying that, they're planning a national shutdown. I do recall that they were planning a march for jobs, I think, later into the month. But of course, now, obviously, anything related to a national shutdown or something along those lines will be viewed as kind of, taking South Africa backwards. Okay. Or there are fears rather to organize such a thing based on the July unrest of last year, where there was mass looting and destruction of property. So even if the EFF were to try to organize such, I believe that they'd want to look at the optics. They'd want to be careful, because such things can easily spiral out of control.
Exactly.
So last year when former President Jacob Zuma supporters were just marching, as a form of dissatisfaction with his arrest.
Well,
and then
Vusi, we'll wait to see how things actually pan out, especially in this situation where we're looking at a situation of a shutting down South Africa. Thank you so much, Vusi Gumbi, Research Assistant, University of Johannesburg, South Africa, for joining us on the conversation. And of course, we'll fix our attention to see how things pan out in South Africa.
Thank you very much for being a part of the conversation. I'm Gbenga Aborowa.
And I'm Rita Omodia. Till next week.